Good morning, everybody, and happy Saturday. Thank you for joining me today. As usual, I'm Coach Ray. Thank you for joining me. So for today's class, we are going to need 2 long sticks. I also have a squat rack set up behind here that you cannot see. That squat rack is going to be used as a wall. And I do have a pad here. So the pad is going to be used particularly for the split stance core drill we're going to get into. We're still working on those lateral lines, so a lot of the stuff we're going to be doing is going to be lateral line dominant in terms of being in certain positions. So we're going to go through a full body warm-up. We're going to go through our strength training phase. We're going to do a full body cool down. I do want to work on stretching out those adductors because I know some people get a little tight there. So you guys ready to get started? Let's do it. So we're going to start off at the feet and ankles first. I like to go through a really quick warm-up there. And so from here, I'm going to take a wider than shoulder width stance, pretty wide. Toes are pointed forward, sticks are angled in towards me here. We're just going to really quickly go through this one here. So hands are going to be at shoulder height. I want to get a nice good horse stance. Pelvis is stacked under the spine. I'm going to bring both heels up, nice and high, all 5 toes in contact with the floor here. And I'm going to slowly bring my heels back down, hovering them off the floor. Don't let them go down. Back up. That's 2. Good. Heels down. Up. That's 3. Good. Heels down. Up. 4. Good. Heels down. Up. 5. Heels down. Up. 6. Heels down. Let's go 2 more. Up. 7. Good. One more time. And up. 8. And down. Ease off. Take a second. We're going to be in that wide stance still. We're going to work with pelvic tilts. So I'm going to get back into that horse stance. Still keep those feet pointed forward here, folks. Now with the sticks angled in towards you, we're going to drive those sticks into the floor here about 20%. You're going to feel those core tissues turn on. Make sure you keep your rib cage down. So we're going to do a posterior tilt. So I'm going to tuck my pelvis in, squeeze my glutes, drive my knees apart. It's going to be a little harder than usual. Now I'm going to do an anterior tilt. So you're going to feel those lower back tissues tighten up. Posterior tilt, tuck the pelvis in, almost like you're trying to tip water out the back. Anterior tilt. Now you're trying to tip water out the front of your pelvis. Good. Posterior tilt. Anterior tilt. Good. Posterior tilt. Keep that posterior tilt here. Now we're going to go lateral hip bump. So I'm going to bump my hip up to the right. Good. Then bump the hip up to the left. Bump the right hip up. As you do that, that left hip should drop. Bump the left hip up, right hip drops. Squeezing that left glute. Bump the right hip up. Good. Left hip up. Good. Right hip. And left hip. Back to center and ease off nice and slow. We're going to take a split stance here. Now for this, I'm going to turn to the side. Right foot's going to be forward here. Left foot is going to be back. Now as we do this drill, we are going to step in and switch feet here. But one thing I want you to remember, we're always rotating towards the leg that's forward. So if my left leg is forward, I want to rotate to my left. If my right leg is forward, I want to rotate to my right. All right? So I'm going to start with my right foot forward here. Bottom of the stick is in line with the toes of my front foot. I have my hands roughly about face height here. I want to take a relatively big split. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to actively split the hips. So I'm going to drive my right hip forward, left hip back, getting that hip extension in the left hip. I'm going to sink down and rotate to the right, bringing that right stick back. Good. Come back to center. I'm going to step forward with the left, step back with the right, and I'm going to repeat that same thing again. Now I'm going to rotate to the left this time. Good. Come back forward, step back with the left, split the hips, rotate to the right. Good. Back to center, step back with the right, rotate to the left. You should be squeezing that right glute. Step up, step back with the left, rotate to the right, trying to open up as much as you can, step up, step back with the right, rotate to the left, good, back to center, and ease off. I'm actually going to move this camera a little bit here. We are going to do a rotational drill. So I'm going to have one stick up against the squat rack here. All right. I'm going to have the other stick behind this stick here. So right hand is going to be on top of the stick that's driving into the corner. And I'm going to take a pretty wide stance. Now, the bottom of the stick is in line with the toes. So that's the angle we're going for here. Right hand is up top. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to hinge back and I'm going to place my hand on the stick here. So I'm going to hinge. I want to keep my right hand in line with my rib cage, and I'm going to grab the stick with my left hand. Now from this position, I'm going to lightly drive my left hand towards the floor and then push that left hand out, pull that right stick back. So we're going to get a lot of rotation here. Ease off. Go ahead and come back up. Take a second. We're going to do that again. So right hand is up top. Hinge. Bring that right hand back. Keep the stick in line with the rib cage, folks. Reach across with the left. Drive into the floor about 20%. Extend that hand out. Breathe. Ease off. Whoop. Come back up. Unfortunately, this is much better done against the wall. Let's go one more time. Hinge. Good. Place that left hand on the stick. Drive it to the floor. Drive that hand down. Breathe. 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Ease off. Come back up. Now we're going to switch sides here. So with this, you want to make sure you maintain good pelvic position. You don't want your hips to rotate one way or another. You want to try to keep your pelvis facing the floor the entire time. So I'm going to get back into that wide stance here. Left hand up top of the stick. I'm going to hinge back. Keep that hand in line with the rib cage. Good. Place your right hand on the stick. Drive it down into the floor. Extend that right hand out. 3, 2, 1. Good. Ease off. Come back up. We got 2 more here. Breathe. Hinge. Good. Reach that right hand across. Drive the stick into the floor. Extend that right hand out. 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Come back up. One more time, folks. We're going to hinge. Keep that hand in line with the rib cage. Right hand across, grab the stick, drive it to the floor, extend that right hand out. 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Come back up. And take a second here. Now this is where we're going to need a pad. We're going to go to the floor here. So we're going to work on opening up that T-spine. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So I'm going to take the pad. Now how far the pad is going to be away from the corner of the wall, it's going to vary on you. So we're going to take both sticks here. We're going to go into a tall kneeling position. We're going to be rocking our hips back and forth, sinking into this kind of position. The sticks are going to be overhead. So we're going to actually start to really open up that T-spine here. We need to keep the arms locked out overhead. So I'm going to have the bottom of the sticks into the corner of the squat rack here. I'm going to have my hands up top. Now, I do want to actually get a little bit of a lean. So we're actually going to lengthen that front line by shifting our hips forward into it, get a bit of a stretch, And then we're gonna sink back, stretch out that T-spine here. You'll see what I mean. So I got my hands up top here. And what I wanna do from here, I wanna squeeze both glutes. Now I'm just gonna drive my hips forward a bit. Getting extension. Then I'm gonna come out. Getting a hang and still driving forward, I'm gonna sink my hips down. Top of my feet are flat into the floor, keeping an overhead position with the sticks. Then I'm gonna come back up, squeeze the glutes, shift forward. Getting that extension, keep your glutes tight. Back up, sink those hips back. Breathe. Good. Up. Squeeze those glutes. Shift the hips forward. Up and back. Drive those hips back and down. Breathe. Let's go one more time. Up. Squeeze those glutes. Good. Come back out. Sink those hips back and down. Excellent. And ease off. Good. We're going to place one stick down. Now we're going to get into working with a little bit of lateral flexion here. So for this, we're going to have the stick across the upper back. The movement is going to be super major, but we're going to get some movement in the spine here. So the stick is on top of my rear delt here. Hands are stretched out. I'm going to have about roughly a shoulder width stance. Toes are going to be pointed forward here. Now from this position, I want to keep a nice, good, neutral spine, nice and tall, but you control that rib cage as usual. Now we're going to do here, I'm going to drive my left hand down towards the floor and try to pull my rib cage in towards my left hip as I tilt to the left. Head follows the spine. Come back up. Now we're going to go to the other side. Driving that right hand down. Bringing that right rib cage to that right hip. Opening up that left side. Back up. Opposite side, so drive that left hand down. Trying to close that rib cage to the hip. Excellent. Other side. Breathe. Back to center. Now we're going to elevate that movement a little bit. As we actually start to tilt to one side, we're going to drive that heel up on that side, trying to bring the hip up a little bit higher. So you're going to feel those obliques activate a little bit, and that's what we're actually really going for. So from this position, arms straight out. Okay. Now from here, I'm going to start to drive that left hand down, trying to close that rib cage. Now I'm going to drive that left heel and hip up towards one another. So now you're going to get even more lateral flexion. Good. I'm going to come back to neutral, place that left heel down. Now I'm going to go to the right, do the same thing, drive that right heel and right hip up. Hands are trying to close that rib cage to the hip. Good. Slowly come out, place that right heel down, opposite side. We're going to do that again. Drive that left hip and heel up. Good. Place it back down, opposite side. Breathe. Really try to get that activation on those lateral tissues. Back down. Let's go one more each side. Bring that left heel up, hip up. Try to close it as much as you can. Excellent. Back to center. Right side. Bring that right heel up, right hip up. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Back down and ease off. Excellent. And now, just want to take the second stick. We are going to be getting to a lunge variation. So, let's warm up those hips, right? So for here, just want to work with some internal external rotation of the hip. So I'm going to have feet together. Both sticks are angled in. And I'm actually going to kind of wiggle to my left a little bit. I want my right foot to be directly in the middle of the sticks here. So I have my right hip lined up. Hands are at shoulder height. Drive both sticks down about 50%. And I want to bring that right knee up. Keep it in the middle of the sticks. I'm going to rotate externally here. Touch my foot to the left stick. And internally touch to the right. We're just tapping. Externally rotate. Internally rotate. External. Internal. External. Internal. That's 4. External. Internal. Back to center. Down and ease off. Now I'm going to wiggle over to the other side. Left foot's in the middle of the stick here. Keep the sticks where they're at. Drive the sticks down 50%. Bring that left knee up. Keep it in the center of the stick. Externally rotate. Good. Internally rotate. External. Internal. 2. External. Internal. 3. External. Internal. 4. External. And internal. 5. Good. Back down. And ease off. Excellent. We're going to place one stick down here, folks. And so we are now going to get into that single leg extension I was talking about. So the hard part about this is the leg that's forward, that's the side the stick needs to be on. So if my left leg is forward, I need to have the stick going to my left here. Now, the objective of this is to create as much lateral tension as we can. So I'm going to start from the side first. And I'm going to have my left leg forward. Now, I'm going to start off with my knee on the ground. Now, as we actually get into this position, it's important that we keep integrity of the rib cage and the pelvis. So if you find that you're getting a lot of extension, try to lock the pelvis and rib cage in towards one another. You're trying to connect the dots here in the front, this dot here, right? So left leg is forward, right knee is down. I'm going to have the stick out to my side in line with that hip here. I'm going to take my right hand up over the top, thumb facing down toward the floor. So basically like a reverse bow and arrow here. Now what I'm going to do from this position is I'm going to drive the stick down with both hands, 50%. Hold this position. This is going to be the first part. We're just trying to warm up that movement. Keep driving the stick down. You can have that right arm bent. And ease off. Good. Now we're going to make it a little bit harder. We're going to hover that right leg. So get back in position here. Keep integrity of the rib cage and the pelvis. Drive the stick into the floor. Hover the right leg. Drive the stick with both hands. 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Take a second. Now we're going to make it a little bit harder. We're going to actively pull that left hand in towards the left hip. So get back to position. Okay? So you're going to drive the stick into the floor, 50%. Hover that right leg. Now pull that left elbow in towards the hip. 3, 2, 1, and ease off. Take a second. Good. We're going to do that last one 2 more times. So now we're being active in the legs and the hips. We're also, again, we're really getting those lateral tissues activated here. So we're going to go through that same thing. Hands up overhead, drive the stick into the floor, hover that right leg, pull that left elbow in towards the left hip, hold, 3, 2, 1, good, ease off, take a second, we're going to go one more time, then we're going to switch sides. Set in position, drive the stick down, hover that right leg, pull that left elbow in, 3, 2, 1, and ease off. Take a second. Now we're going to switch sides. We're going to go through all those same movements. And so what I want you to focus on here, obviously balance is going to be important, but what you're going to feel is the obliques get nice and active, right, on this side. So what we're doing here by being in this position, we're really shortening the side of the leg that's forward. So from here, right leg is forward, left leg is back, toes are driving into the floor here. So from this position, drive the stick down 50% and push. Remember, we're driving down with both hands here. 3, 2, 1, and ease off. Excellent. Now we're going to hover that knee off the floor. Same thing, so drive the stick down 50%, push, hover the left knee. 3, 2, 1, and ease off. Excellent. Now we pull that right elbow into the right hip. Remember, keep that integrity of the rib cage and the pelvis here. So get in position, drive the sticks down with both hands, 70%, hover the back knee, pull that right elbow into the right hip. 3, 2, 1, and ease off. Excellent. We got 2 more here. Let's go again. Drive the stick down, hover the back knee, pull that right elbow in. 3, 2, 1, and ease off. Excellent. Let's go one more time. Stick out, drive the stick down. Good, hover the back knee, pull that right elbow in. 3, 2, 1, and ease off. Woo. Excellent, good. And now, I'm going to go to a standing position. Still only going to need 1 stick for this. I'm going to use the squat rack as if it's a door frame. So we're actually going to create some pulling tension. So from here, I have the stick, into the stick. Actually, it's a door frame. Make sure you have something really, really stable for you to press into or pull into more so. Because we're not actually driving this way, but instead, we're creating tension by pulling with that inside hand and pushing with that outside hand. So we're going to do this a little bit reflexively here. However, stagger stance, right? So I'm going to have my inside leg forward a bit. So right leg is forward, left leg is back. The toes of my left foot is actually in line with the heel of my right. I'm not in that big of a split here. Now from this position here, I want to have both arms at 90 degrees. Hands are at roughly about shoulder width. I want to squat down a little bit, so I want to make sure my knees are out. I don't want my knees here, knees out here. Stacked over the toes. From this position, 90-degree elbow bend. I'm going to create tension by pulling with that inside hand. All right? So 50% and pull. 3, 2, 1, and ease off. Excellent. Good. So you're going to feel a lot of the lateral tissues get active here. The obliques, you're going to get the lats. You're going to get all those tissues involved. So now we're going to ramp it up to 70% here. We're going to hold for 8 seconds. So get set in position, squat down a bit. Both feet are flat to the floor. Ready, 70%, and pull. Breathe. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and ease off. Excellent. We got 3 more reps here. Get set in position, squat down. Make sure sticks lined up right, and pull 70%. 3, 2, 1, and ease off. Excellent. We got 2 more. Get in position. Nice good position here. 70% and pull. 2, 1, and ease off. Last one, rotate that stick a bit so it's not bending only one way. Get set. Let's go 90% on this last one. And pull. 3, 2, 1, and ease off. Whew, excellent. So now I'm going to turn. Actually want to show you from a little bit of a different angle. So I'm going to show from this angle here. Same alignment. So remember, you're in a stagger stance. Right, so my inside leg is forward, right leg is back. It's not going to be back that far here. Make sure you got a nice good stance. Arms bent at 90 degrees here. Start at 50% and pull. Hold. 3, 2, 1, and ease off. Excellent. We got 4 reps. 3 at 70%. The last one's at 90%. Elbows in. Squat down. 70%. Pull. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and ease off. Good. Rotate the stick. Get set in position. And pull. 4, 3, 2, 1, ease off. Shake it out a little bit. Get set in position. 70%, pull. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ease off. Let's go last one here. 90% this time. Rotate that stick. I'm going to sink down into it and pull. 4, 3, 2, 1, and ease off. Excellent. Good. All right, now, last drill here. This one is going to be super simple. We're going to do hip abduction here, but what we're really going to do is really drive that stick down into the floor on the side that we're moving to. And then we're going to lift the opposite side. So this is, for one, going to ensure that we have good strict positional awareness, but also it's going to increase that challenge. Move this over to the side. So I'm going to line up, feet together, sticks. I actually want to have them out pretty far away from the outside of my midfoot here. So you want to make this challenging initially right off the bat here. Now we're going to start at driving both sticks down at 50%. Hands are at shoulder height. So push. We're going to start on that right leg first. So I'll keep my left leg grounded, hover the right foot. I'm going to bring that right foot to the right stick, and I want to drive that stick down harder while pushing my right foot out harder. Now lift the left stick. 3, 2, 1. Place the left stick back down. Bring that right foot in and ease off. Excellent. So we're increasing tension here. It's not the same tension. We're ramping it up quite literally as we're actually holding that position. So we're going to get set again. We're going to go 2 more reps on this side, and we'll switch sides. Drive both sticks down, 50%. Hover the right foot. Bring the outside of that foot to the right stick. Push harder. Drive down hard on that right side. Lift the left stick. Keep that position. 3, 2, 1. Place the left stick back down. Right foot in and ease off. Let's go one more time. Hands out. Drive both sticks down, 50%. Push. Hover the right foot. Bring it to the right stick. Push. Drive harder. Lift the left stick. Hover it. 3, 2, 1. Place the left stick back down. Right foot in and ease off. Good. Now we're going to switch over to the opposite side. Drive both sticks down 50%, hover the left foot, bring the outside of the foot to the stick, push, drive that left stick down harder, lift the right, 3, 2, 1. Place the right stick down, left foot back in, and ease off. Good, we got 2 more here. Those lateral lines should be real nice and active, folks. Drive the sticks down 50%. Bring the left foot up to the left stick. Push hard, drive down hard. Hover the right stick. 3, 2, 1. Place the right stick back down. Left foot in and ease off. Excellent. One more time. You should be at about 90% here, by the way, as you're driving. So drive both sticks down 50%. Over the left. Push that left foot against the stick. Drive that stick down harder. Push with that foot harder. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Place the stick down. Left foot in and ease off. Woo. Good, good, excellent. All right. Now, let's get into the cool down here, folks. So we're going to start off with both sticks. And like I mentioned earlier, I do want to get into stretching out those adductors. So we're going to kind of do effectively a standing straddle stretch. So from here, I'm going to take a I'm going to take a pretty wide stance. So you want this stance to be pretty wide, not as wide as you can. You do want to make sure that your hips are actually comfortable with this position. If you go too wide, you start to hinge, it can start to hurt. So be aware of how your hips are feeling. Now, both feet are pointed forward. I don't want to angle a toe out position. I actually want a toe forward position here. Now from this position, bottom of the sticks are angled out in front, and I'm going to hinge back while guiding my hands down the sticks here. So super slight bend to the knees, but driving those hips back, reaching down towards the bottom of the sticks here. Hold. And we're just hanging out here for a minute. You're going to get a stretch in the adductors and the hamstrings, right? Good. I'm going to come back up nice and slow. Excellent. If you can wiggle your feet out a little wider, try to get them out a little wider here. Now, we're going to do that same thing, but now we're going to extend the arms out in that bottom position. So I'm going to guide my hands down the sticks, driving my hips back. Good. I'm going to place both hands on a stick right under my shoulders, and then I'm going to drive those sticks forward. So my torso is relatively parallel to the floor here. That's what we're going for. Breathe. Good. I'm going to bring the sticks back to the shoulders. Slowly come up. Excellent. We're going to ease off. Wiggle your feet in slowly. Good. Don't want to come out of that position fast here. Awesome. So now we're going to get into a single arm hang. So I'm going to place one stick down. And so for this hang, we do want to make sure we get a good hang in the hands here. Nothing too significant. We are going to add in rotation to further lengthen those lateral tissues. So I'm going to start with my left foot forward. Right foot is going to be back. Bottom of the stick is in line with the heel of my front foot here. Now, one thing I want you to notice is I actually have the stick angled out pretty far. This is going to allow me to drop my right hip going down towards the bottom of the stick. So we're dropping it down this way. So right hand's up, left hand's going to be on the stick for added support. Now from here, I'm going to shift weight forward on that front leg, and then I'm going to drop my right hip down towards the bottom of the stick. And then I'm going to rotate to my left and then come back to neutral. Good. Rotate to the left, back to neutral, rotate to the left, and back to neutral, ease off. We're gonna switch sides. We're gonna come back to that again, so try not to forget that position. Right leg is forward, left leg is back in a pretty big split. You can always wiggle that left foot back as well if you need to. Left hand up top, right hand's on a stick. Load that front leg first, and then drop that left hip down towards the bottom of the stick. Good. Rotate to your right. Good. Back to center. That's one. Rotate to the right. Good. There's two. Rotate. Back to center. It's three. Slowly come out. Ease off. We're going to switch again. So step back with that right foot. You can actually have a little bit more of an angled out position. If you feel more comfortable, don't be afraid to put the bottom of the stick into a wall, by the way. That actually you might feel a little bit safer that way, so you don't feel like the stick is going to slip. So from here, same position, hand up top, left hand's on the stick for added support. Load that front leg, really drive that right hip down. So you're going to get an even bigger stretch. So I'm actually going to rotate a bit, hold that position. Back to center. Squeeze that right glute. Really try to open up. Slowly ease off and switch sides. So the interesting thing about this one, or fun thing about this one, the wider that stick is out from you, the bigger of a stretch you can get because you have more access to drop that hip in. So try to be aware of that. If the stick's closer in, you're not going to get as much of a lateral drop here. So we're going to set up the same, left hand up top, right hand's on a stick for added support. Load that front leg, drop that left hip down, and we're trying to get this point of the hip to drop towards the bottom. Rotate to the right. Breathe. Rotate back to center, squeeze that left glute. Excellent. Slowly come out. And relax. Good. We're going to get into a bow and arrow. This is not actually going to be our finishing stretch. Typically I like to finish with this, but not today. So I'm going to have my feet at roughly about hip width. Toes are pointed forward. I'm going to have the bottom of the stick right on the outside of my left foot here. So my left hand is going to start at hip height. Then I'm going to move it up to rib cage height. So it's going to increase that tension, which is going to therefore increase that stretch. So from here, take my right hand, reach up over the top, thumb facing down. Remember, we're driving those hips away. So drive the hips away from the stick first. That's that first part. Lightly drive the stick into the floor, about 20%, and then extend those hands out. Breathe. Slowly ease off and relax. Rotate the stick a bit so it's not all bending in one way. We're going to do that same thing. This time, hand is up at rib cage height. Right hand up over the top, thumb facing down. Drive that stick into the floor. Really drive those hips away from the stick here. Extend both hands out. Good. Slowly ease off and relax. Let's go ahead and switch sides here. So sticks on my right side, right by the foot. Remember, you can always adjust the bottom of the stick here. If it's out further, you don't have to, it doesn't require as much force to get that stretch. So from here, his hand is at the waist height, left hand up over the top, thumb facing down. Drive those hips away. Keep a posterior tilt. Don't let your lower back arch. Now drive the stick down and extend those hands out. Ease off. Excellent. Rotate that stick a bit. Now hand's going to be at rib cage height. Left hand comes up over the top, thumb facing down. Drive the hips away. Drive the stick down into the floor. Extend both hands out. Excellent. Ease off. Nice and slow. And relax. All right, so now we're gonna finish off with some slap shot. Kind of want to open up the rib cage and the chest area. So as we do this, be aware of how your shoulders are feeling. Be aware of how your hips are feeling. Don't be afraid to change your stance to come in closer or wider if you need to. So I'm gonna go with a relatively wide stance here. For this one, I do like to have a slight toe-out angle. Stick is in mid-back. So from here, I'm gonna hinge. Now from this position, I just wanna hold that, stretch out the hamstrings a little bit more. A little bit extra hamstring stretch, it never hurt nobody. So now I'm gonna rotate the bottom of the stick of the left side of the stick down to my center line. And I'm gonna pull the stick apart. So I'm gonna get that upper back activation here. Feel that rib cage open up a bit. Drive off that right leg, sink it to the left hip. Good. Drive off the left hip, sink into that right leg. Really try to drive those hips back. Back to center. Good. Come back to center. Rotate the right end of the stick down. Center line. Pull apart. Get that upper back activation. Drive off that left leg. Sink into that right hip. Good. Drive off that right leg. Sink into the left hip. Back to center. Good. Let's go one more time. Let's get a little bit further range of motion here. Pull that left end of the stick across the midline if you can. Pull the stick apart. Drive off that right leg. Lunge to the left side. Feel the stretch in the chest. Let go with that left hand. Reach to your right. Reach to 3 o'clock. Place our left hand back down. Drive off that left leg. Good. Now I want you to pivot that left foot towards 3 o'clock. Squeeze that left glute and lean back. So now we're getting that hip a little bit more. Good. Back down. Come back to center. Excellent. Now we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Rotate the right end down. Good. Pull apart. Drive off that left leg. Lunge to the right. Sink into that hip. Let go with the right hand. Reach to 9 o'clock. Should feel that left pec. That rib cage really opening up nicely here. Place the right hand back down. Thumb facing down. Now I'm going to lunge over to the left, driving off that right leg. Pivot that right foot to 9 o'clock. Squeeze that right glute. Breathe. 3, 2, 1. Place that left foot back down. Slowly come back to center. Stand up, squeezing those glutes. Wiggle those feet in slowly. And that, my friends, concludes today's SIG mobility class. Thank you for joining me today, everybody. Hope everybody had a good class. I'll be sure to catch you guys next weekend. As usual, stay safe. Happy Saturday, folks. Have a good weekend.